Welcome. In this video, we're going to show you how to paint correct from a first timer. Now you're probably wondering why you would listen to a first timer, because what do I know? Well, the reason why is because I got some really cool tips about how you mess up and what you need to do and some extra tools and just some stuff that people who are pros won't really tell you because they're pros. You know, they already know how to do it. So essentially what I did is I started off by doing one panel a day. Of course, I skipped a few days, but essentially one panel takes me about 2 to 3 hours. I know that seems like a long time, but this is really hard work. So kudos and props to the people who do this for a living, because it is insane work, but it's very doable. So what we're going to be showing you is we're going to be showing you the David style, the one panel at a time, how I do it, and essentially how I ended up kind of saving myself $2,200 and doing it myself. So let's go ahead and kick it off. So technically, you're gonna get a lot of people saying, take out the car, you gotta de-iron it, decontamination, foam wash it, do all that. Just go wash your car, essentially. Wash it in the morning, not in the sun, and then dry it off. And essentially, once you do that, the next step you wanna do is you're gonna wanna tape. And go pick up some automotive masking tapes, make sure it's paint safe, and just buy a good brand like 3M. And then after that, you're pretty much gonna go to the next step. Now for me, I already washed the car, but since I'm a little ODD or ADD or whatever you call it, all I did is I got a bucket and I'm simply gonna just kind of like wash it off. And this is a new little rag foam thingy. And all I'm doing right here is just kind of, you know, washing it off to get anything that sat on the paint since I've washed it, which wasn't too long ago. And this is also gonna prep our area for the next thing, which is called clay barring. Oh man, and I'll explain that here in a second. So what's next? Well, it's this clay bar. Now you've probably heard about it. I mean, this stuff is being used back in the days when you used turtle wax. Well, essentially what it is, it's just when you run this through the paint, it's gonna pick up stuff. It's like kind of like a putty. And essentially you could buy this anywhere, Advance or O'Reilly's, and it comes like in a kit. Usually, this is actually how the kit looks. It's like the Mother's Instant Detailer with the clay bar. And all you do is you just kind of go Rambo on it, like this. You know, try to get the whole area. And then you want to do is you just want to make sure it's lubricated, and you're just going to run this through. And the main goal is you just don't want it to go through a dry spot, because then it gets stuck and then it leaves some of itself in that dry spot, which is not what you want to happen. So, and ultimately you should see like some black stuff. I don't see anything quite yet, but we'll get there. And you'll probably see it more likely when you get to the lower part of the panel. And of course, that's because it's closer to the ground. And here's the thing about all of this. You could do it. I mean, I originally was scared to do all of this because, you know, it seems, you know, it's very expensive to have somebody do it. It just, you don't want to mess up your car. But they've made it almost foolproof now, which is kind of crazy, because if you think about it, I feel like the professionals really don't want you to know that, because they want to do this. And I have to admit that, and we'll talk about it here in a bit, they have the best equipment. All right, I don't know if you guys can see that, but you see that little blackness in there? That's what it's picking up. So what I like to do is I like to just kind of like go Pac-Man on it, smash, smash, Hulk smash. And just get it like a new area that doesn't have anything black in it. And then we're going to spray again. Just going to do the car. Now I am running low on clay, so it's kind of, I'm using a smaller little one than what you'd want to use for a bigger surface area. But it's going to do its job. So the next thing is pretty much dry off the area. Make sure you didn't leave any clay on there or putty or whatever we want to call it. And get ready, because the next step is what we're all here for, and that's how to polish. All right. Okay, so this is going to look intimidating, and guess what? It is a little bit, but I'm going to walk you through it. So these are your polishing pads, right? And what they do is essentially they cut. So you got clear coat, and then you got paint, and then you got bare metal, whatever your car's made out of. And essentially, all of this could get very complicated. You could have wool, you could have all kinds of different colors, but we're gonna keep it simple. Orange is like one of those medium cuts, and then white is a light cut, and then black is kind of like your finishing one, the fine one. So what I've been doing, and I'm talking about everything that's come out really nice, and I'm blown away. And essentially, I'm just using orange and then white, and then sometimes I'm just going orange to black, and it's come out really well. It will all make sense here when I show you what we're doing. Over here's your polishers. I know that the professionals will laugh at this video, but guess what? My car is looking amazing, and that's what counts. So this is a very entry-level like polisher. It's an orbital polisher, and it's by a company called Torque, not Twerk. And I bought it on Amazon, and I believe it's by Chemical Guys. Hopefully I plugged in the right company. And then here's another one with a funky name, and this is called Zolta. And this is a literal one, as you can tell, because if you think about the circumference on this polisher, you can't get in little tight areas. They actually make a even smaller one, but here's the thing, guys. I didn't want to spend a lot of money. I got a quote for $2,200, $2,500, and of course my car would have came out better than I'm doing it, even though it's come out well. But they have the best tools, and essentially, if I were going to pay that much money for those tools, it would be close to $2,000. So it wouldn't make sense because I'm not doing this professionally. So this was a couple $100. This was less than $200. And then the pads and stuff like that, I think I'm in everything for about $500. All right, so with the kit that I got from Chemical Guys, you get some pads, and you got some of these polishing compounds, right? So if you're gonna use these, I'm about to plug these guys in, which, they're not gonna be hooking me up, but you know what? Their product works, they get a free plug, right? All right, congratulations, free marketing. Chemical Guys, if you end up buying them, essentially 38 is fine polish, 36 is a little bit more of a coarser cut or whatever. I'm just using fancy words because all detailers want to be fancy, but essentially this is the first one, this is the second one. So all you do is essentially you get your pad, right? We're starting with orange, and you try to, elementary school here, you try to put it correctly on here, boop, and it's in there. All right, the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna add some polish on here, right? So we're gonna go with 36. I've used a lot of this, so this is gonna be kind of hilarious because I gotta do this. And this is kind of one of those things that it's gonna make a lot of mess. Look, I'm in all those class action lawsuits for cancer and stuff, so you know what we need? We need some gloves. Because everything gives you cancer. I believe it too, man. I mean, it's like teenage ninja myrtles. Anyways, I don't know. April O'Neil, baby. All right. So what they do is they start off, they say pea size, right? You'll never get pea size with this stuff because it's more like, yeah, I was gonna say something inappropriate. But anyways, I just do that, right? Kind of, who knows? I do that much. But then, in the video, and go watch Chemical Guy's video. The thing about these different videos is they only show you one part of what I'm showing you. They're like, this is how you polish, but they don't tell you anything else. So essentially in their video, which you want to watch their video, they tell you that spray this polishing stuff on this one, the pad conditioner, and that just helps it lubricate. So I do 2 squirts. I did it over this electrical unit, but that's fine. And it says lube it or lose it. Okay. So we have our gloves, but guess what? This stuff goes everywhere, so we need iPro. I've been wearing a mask. I'm not going to do it on the camera with you guys because I don't want to look weird, but you could wear a mask if you want to be extra safe. And then we need one more thing, and I'm almost forgetting. Oh, the most important freaking thing ever. Here it is, guys. Look at this. Nobody tells you about this, but a freaking headlamp. OMG. Because you could see what you're doing. You could actually, when you're polishing, you could see you can see what you're doing, and it's so helpful. So let me get some glasses. All right, I got some glasses. I got my headlamp, and let's go start. Okay, so we're about to start. This is gonna be the meat and potatoes of the video. Real quickly, go watch Chemical Guy's video on how to use this. A lot more in depth. I'm gonna tell you the same thing, but a little bit more on a fast forward pace. So essentially, you got your stuff on here. What you wanna do is you wanna make sure this is on 1, so you don't put it on full speed and it goes everywhere. And you kind of want to pick an area, right? You don't want it to be too big. So essentially what I do is about about a foot, 12 inches. That's what I do. I sometimes go a little longer while I'm doing it, a little wider, but let me show you. So what you do is you I go wherever I'm gonna start, I dab it, and then I go over to where I'm gonna end and I dab it, right? So a little bigger than 12 inches. And in the middle, and then, so essentially we're putting that product on there, right? All right, it's gonna get loud, but essentially one thing I learned, and again, they didn't say this, I don't know if it's right or wrong, but you've got air vents, and dude, air comes out insane. As you get lower, I noticed something, and what I noticed was that if you're like this and the air vent's like this, my garage is a little dusty, so dust could go up and you could contaminate your pad. So I mean, honestly, what I like to do is I like to keep it like this because the air is going like this versus down. It's just something that I like. I don't know if it's right or wrong, but the logic makes sense. Okay, so once you're ready, you make sure you're on one, and at this point in time, when we turn it on, it's just gonna spread this around. It's gonna get the area prepped up. All right, so we got it spread out, but here's the thing that nobody will tell you except here, David. Check this out, guys. Boom, right? When I'm doing that, I could see everything a lot closer and it helps me do the work. Now, a great piece of information is if panels were easy, oh my gosh, like a 5-year-old could do this. But essentially, when they have ridges and contours and they have shapes, you have to be careful, and that's because these ridges and shapes, like the machine can't do it right. If you're using a more advanced machine, you could like hurt your paint or something like that. Apparently these machines, the entry-level machines, prevent that to a certain extent. But essentially, you know, when you get to certain contours, that's when you have to switch the polisher because you have to get a smaller one to get on there to get the right angle. And also you just want to be careful when you hit like a ledge like down here or something like that. You just want to use a different technique, and we'll talk about that here in a bit. So we have all this already on here. Now we're going to actually polish. It's going to be loud, so essentially what I'm going to do is while it's going, I'm going to be going at a slow pace. And pressure wise, I put very little pressure. I mean, you don't put a lot of pressure. I put like just a tiny bit of pressure. And in Chemical Guy's video, they drew a line here so you could see like the amount of pressure you're putting or whatever. But essentially, long story short, it's not a lot of pressure. It's like if you're just trying to like, I don't know, if you're pressing the elevator button, in my opinion, it all varies, but also passes, some people say, oh, I do 5 or 6. I do 2 or 3, and you'll see what happens. So I'm gonna go from 1 and then go up to about 4.5 to 5 on the setting on this polisher. So as far as technique, people could argue that for days. I mean, it could be a symposium just about people arguing between the pros of what's the best and best. As long as it polishes and it makes it look nice, which it did, then mission success. Key rules, you don't want to sit in one same spot. Second of all, you don't want to put too much pressure. I was thinking about like my pushing the button elevator. Essentially what I do is I lay the weight of my hand on it. So about 5 pounds, I think. I could be wrong. But essentially it came out great, and that's like the first step with the orange one. Now, if you saw, I only did this small section, and I'm gonna have to do that to this whole entire thing. And it's gonna be a long process. That's why it takes a few hours. But before we move on to the white pad, I wanna show you the smaller polisher, why we need to use it, and essentially how it works. So here's our smaller one. This is pretty heavy. This is a little lighter, but it's not a lot lighter. And here's our pad. So we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna go ahead, put it on there, and we're also gonna go back and hit this until we get something to come out. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm doing this just the way I did it. I'm telling you guys, my car is coming out awesome. So I got it like this, and I'm gonna spray it with this conditioner. Boop, boop, don't mind the trash bag. All right, so the same thing. What we're gonna do is we're gonna take our pad that's got some polishing on it, and we're gonna go ahead and do this area about this long for me. And we're gonna do this. And the reason why this works, if you would have thought about the other pad, it's just so much bigger. This one fits up in this kind of little ridge area a lot better. And we're gonna be able to polish this a lot better. So let's go ahead, same thing, it's on 1. We're gonna spread it. Turn on the light. All right, spread, and then I'm gonna go to 4, 4, 5 here. A light pressure, but there is pressure. I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna slightly adjust. I'm changing my angle and the area I'm passing through every time. And now we're gonna wipe it off. Now there's a whole science that when you wipe it off, if there's residue or no residue, if you're doing it right or wrong. Essentially, if it wipes off nicely, you're doing it right. If you get like areas that are sticky or some of the polish has kind of, some of that compound is hard to get off because it's kind of sticky, you're probably using too much polish. But essentially, again, I'm a newbie, car's looking amazing, but when I make these videos, I know that I'm poking the bear, and you guys are going to benefit from it because I want you guys to read those comments. And there's going to be some from professionals who are going to be like, good job, but you should have done X, Y, and Z. So read those comments. But look at that. We used the little one, we used the big one, we showed you how to wipe it off. Now we got to show you something real quickly on the pads. So pads. All right, so I really didn't know this when I started the first panel. I just kind of was going to town. If you look at this pad, there's some red in it, and that's paint. That means you're doing a good job. But if you have too much stuff on your pad, it's not gonna work. It's gonna clog up the pores. Simply, it's just not gonna work. So you could buy one of those fancy brushes for the pads, which is good. And essentially, I just use a toothbrush because I'm just trying to be cheap as possible. Again, I could be wrong. What I like to do is I just kind of do this. I'm like, all right, it's been working for me. Another thing you could do is you could turn it on, and as it goes, you just kind of let it clean itself off, or use a brush. Or if you're fancy and you have compressed air, you just, what you call it, blowing it out. But you essentially want to do that. What I like to do, and you won't see it here, but I have a bunch of these. What I like to do is once this gets a little bit crazy, I just switch it out because these are washable. I did not know that. You could wash them. That's why I bought so many of them. I didn't know that, but you could wash them and reuse them, but I'm sure that they die after a certain time. But that's one of those things you want to know. If you look over here, there's a little bit of red on here, and essentially you just want to make sure that you switch them out. If you have a lot of pads, you switch out to the next one, and if they get too dirty. All right, so now we're going to switch over to the white pad, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish my job on the door, and then we're going to go to the white pad and then go from there. Okay, here's our aftermath of our orange pad. We went through the whole panel. It took me about an hour to go through everything. I did the small one and the big one, and we are ready to switch it out. All right. So we're going to be going with the white pad right here. I got a new one just because, yeah. And then We're gonna go ahead and go with the black pad on this little one. So, which these are two different types. This is, remember, this is light cutting, and this is just like the polishing finishing one. All right, so I busted out my 36, but now we need 38. And the crazy part is this one smells good. I don't know if that's good or not. I don't know if you want to be sniffing this, but all right. So I apparently put some healthy size pea size in here, but it's going to be all right. And then we've got this polishing pad conditioner, and we're going to spray it, and we're ready. Okay, we're gonna be starting off in the middle. And I wanna add on to some of the stuff I said before. Remember I said don't do this way or this way. Well, sometimes you have no other option to face it. So really, just do it the way it feels comfortable. Just make sure your floor is clean. All right, so we've got the white pad. I'm gonna start in the middle just for demonstration purposes. Try to, pick little areas to keep track. Like I have like a little touch-up paint here, so I know that's my beginning. And then I'm gonna come over here. I got another little touch-up paint right here. So that's gonna be my ending. So I'm gonna start off by doing that little spongy thingy right here again. It's a nice little area. And this is going to be kind of the last pass. So I'm gonna do this whole thing with the white pad, and then we're gonna be moving on to the ceramic coat. Okay, let me begin. So you always start and turn it off with it against the paint, because if you turn it on or off with it coming out, you're gonna just throw everything everywhere. So we are done with the polishing process, and let me tell you, it is some work. Woo! And the reason why I do it the way I do it is because really all I have in me is one panel a day. So it took me about 1 or 2 hours to polish this at my pace. And then at this point in time, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna remove that polishing residue so we could add some ceramic coating to it. Now, the reason why we wanna do it, me and my friend Scott were talking about it. He's a really awesome detailer. And he was telling me that, you essentially just wanna ceramic coat the car when you're done, with the whole process of paint correcting it. But since I'm only doing one panel at a time, I make sure that I tape off the area, and I just finish it off like I ceramic coat it. So let's go ahead and start with the process. And essentially this is like an alcohol-based chemical, and what it does is it removes residue. And that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna spray it on there and just remove any of that polishing compound that might be left on there. All right, so let me go ahead and do it. And now Elise is going to be ceramic coating the door. Now she does it because she is a lot better than I am, and we are not going to give you instructions how to ceramic coat, and the reason why is every product is different. So whatever ceramic coat you use, you just want to make sure that you read it and that you follow the instructions. And there's plenty of videos on YouTube that will show you how to do that. And the ceramic coat is on, and now we're gonna let it sit overnight because it has a little bit of curing process where it shouldn't see any sun or UV. And guys, this looks amazing. As you saw, it takes a lot of work. So my recommendation to you guys, if you wanna take this project on, just take it slow, watch a lot of videos. Our video isn't like the one that you should watch and go do it. It's one of those supplemental things that you should watch. Our video, Chemical Guy's videos, and just every video you could think of. I know Ammo NYC has some good tutorials as well. Well guys, I hope you learned something. I'm just excited because we've got everything done. We got to do the fender, the hood, and the front bumper, and this whole car has been paint corrected and ceramic coated at home, which in my opinion is awesome. Well guys, thanks for watching. We appreciate it, and we will talk to you soon.